Strange video we're starting off with today. UFO researcher is revealing that the elites are plotting for the end of the world. One of the craziest things that you could see this week and possibly this year. He's alleging that the elites that control the world are preparing the entire world to help make revelations a true thing. We've seen rumors about this before, and I even covered it extensively on my X. Let's break down into it. It's worth looking into.
What else do you know? I just, I think we're living in the worst possible times right now. That if we don't make some changes, there's going to be some major disasters about to happen, and it's man-made. It's not solar flare. It's not any of that. It's a dark force. Because she told me, well, I'll tell you what she told me. This is what I put in writing, part of it. She said, there are people in power. I put this in writing in 2012. She said, there are people in power. And I'm not going to say where.
I always say all the time, if you guys don't know, my favorite term is the world is a stage. And that's because it couldn't be any truer than what it says it is. The entire world is a stage, and there are people that set the pieces in place. Influencers, celebrities, creators, whatever you want to call people that are in the public eye, these are actors on the world stage that's controlled by the puppet masters. That might be the way that they give them monetizations, their brand deals, PR companies, etc. In fact, if you look at the top organizations in the industries, almost all of their headquarters make the all-seeing guy. If you think that is random, you're possibly watching the wrong YouTube channel. Or you haven't been watching it long enough. But even when we broke down about the PR industries on my last, what was it, YouTube video before this one? So it was like 2 YouTube videos ago. Broke down how CAA, a PR company that Joe Biden had signed back with, how they pretty much control everything we hear and see. And just wouldn't you know it, they have like 2 all-seeing eyes at their headquarters. You can see the same thing at the Vatican. You can see the same thing in D.C. You can see the same thing in all of these major places, even the World Health Organization. Now, a skeptical person should be skeptical about what they're seeing. It's all being controlled and it's all being ran by a very select few. Now, the most disturbing thing about all this is that I wasn't a true believer until I got into this industry of being a creator, being an influencer, of getting 1.5 million followers on Twitter, of being around celebrities, etc. And it completely shocked me. It was a culture shock like you've never seen before when I found out it was all too true, that there are people that get in robes and do some things that are quite questionable for energies, for frequencies, etc. And these people, they wholeheartedly believe in the Bible. So it'll make you a believer. If you're kind of skeptical about religion, you become successful enough and you start seeing people that's 30 times more successful than you, world leaders, and they're starting to revere religion. They're paying attention to scripture, and they are worried about prophecies or trying to accelerate prophecies. It adds legitimacy to the prophecy itself in the Bible and what is believed to be real.
She focused my thoughts on that, but there's script in the book of Revelation to bring about Armageddon and the end of the world. They're doing it intentionally, and that's what she told me. And that's the very thing the main meat of the whole message I sent to these generals. So it makes sense, right?
Who is they?
I don't know who they are. I think they're Satanists. I think they're people that worship the dark force, that don't care for humanity and human life. And in fact, they're the total opposite of, they worship the devil. Or I don't know if there is a devil. I think it's a very dark force that is living.
Something a lot of people don't really address as much as they should is the Babylonian gods. You got Amalek, you have Moloch, you have Baal, and you have a few other ones. And if you ever read the Apocrypha, which isn't just the Bible, it's just the missing books of the Bible, which is up for debate if it's legitimate or not. But just to reference it, there's a book in Apocrypha called The Wars of the Lords. And it actually breaks down how the Babylonian gods were defeated by Yahweh. And it's a pretty interesting story. But I'm just saying that to say this, that Satan, Lucifer, has never been deemed a god. He's been the king of this world. I'm just referencing scripture. It references Lucifer as like the king of this world, but it never references him as a god. So it kind of confuses me when Christians are always saying that Satan is the ultimate form of evil. He is a form of evil, and I'm just, to reference the scripture from what it says, but he isn't the evil, the most largest form of evil, if that makes sense. You have actual gods that children were sacrificed to in the past. Now, Satan, he manipulates the children, but Baal, he eats them. Moloch, Amalek, they prefer children. So it leaves you to wonder, why is it, if Satan is the true ruler of the world, why would the Hollywood executives, media executives, etc., allow for people to constantly say his name, to constantly try to get people to focus on Satan, even if Satanism, etc.? Now, would you not think a true big bad would not reveal himself? In some references, Satan could be viewed as a general, but he's not a god. There are elites that are still worshiping gods from the past, is what I'm trying to kind of break down on this video. And they are aware that they are gods that they're worshiping, and they are aware that Satan is a fallen angel. He's never had the ability of godhood. The closest thing he would be is a demigod. So if you compare that to any type of mythology, he is not nowhere near as powerful as a Babylonian god. I hope people understand where I'm going with this. I'm saying behind the scenes, and I hope I can keep my video. I'm saying behind the scenes, very, very powerful people are worshiping entities that a lot of people don't even know exist. And I think that's intentional. The same reason why Freemasonry is viewed as the greatest secret society of all time, when in truth, it's just a gentleman's club for the most part. People that meet, and these people actually end up arguing over their dues more than they actually get their goddamn degrees in. It's not what you think. A lot of these people are doing fundraisers, hosting up deciding who's making potato salad and barbecued ribs. They plaster the Masonic imagery everywhere so they could be the scapegoat. Most of your Masons are regular citizens, but you're not going to pay attention to the Sigma Pi Phi. You're not going to pay attention to the Rosicrucian. You're not going to pay attention to the Magic Order of the Golden Dawn. You're not going to pay attention to the Odd Fellows. You're not going to pay attention to any of these other organizations that exist. You're not going to pay attention to the Club of Rome, the Black Nobility Families of Rome. You're not going to pay attention to a lot of things if you're only focused on what they want you to focus on.
Full of dark entities that feed on you parasitically, like they'd be non-physical. They shape shift. They take your mind over. They make you do crazy things. They deceive you, make you kill somebody, go crazy. Where the angelic world are the physical beings. They can come in here and light. These beings are made of light. The dark force is a parasitic race. And whoever's aligned with that is, according to the mother, the lady, is scripted in the book of Revelation. They didn't want it to happen.
Why did they want it to happen?
I think it's the dark force. I think that they want to snuff out God. They don't want us to have God in our heart. Why do you think they did evolution? That's the biggest, dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. That every living thing come from a mud puddle, and it can't happen. It's just not possible. It's a laugh. It's a joke.
Now, something to reference.
Place after the destruction of the second temple.
Something to reference this real quick, in case you guys don't know what's going on here. This is Javier Milei, the leader of Argentina, and he actually had made a statement in Israel about how he was trying to do whatever he can to help the Temple Mount get built. And with the building of Temple Mount, it would, the destruction of Temple Mount, it would allow for the third Temple of Solomon to be revealed. And the third Temple of Solomon, just by what the Bible states, it would signify the beginning of the end of the world. And I'm not saying that's what Javier Milei is doing or anything, but even, Hamas, they're claiming that people that's against them is trying to accelerate the end times. And these are just delusions, no one has no proofs about that. But when you see stuff like this, I think that's kind of what he's referencing, Eric Bledsoe, the gentleman at the beginning of this video, because when you have certain scriptures saying that, hey, if this happens after, and people still try to make it happen, maybe possibly like making red heifers appear and things like that, it leads to some people wondering, are you trying to accelerate Christ's return? And I really can't say much. I'm sorry.
The Romans.
Se encontraba Rabbi Akiva y sus colegas observando el monte del templo en ruinas y vieron a un zorro salir del lugar más santo de lo que era el templo.
Rabbi Akiva and his colleagues were observing the Temple Mount in ruins, and they saw a fox leave the holiest of holies in the temple.
No podría haber una escena más desalentadora que aquella.
There could have been no more disheartening scene than that.
Frente a esta terrible escena, los rabinos lloraron en señal de duelo, pero Rabbi Akiva comenzó a reír.
In the face of this terrible scene, the rabbis cried in mourning, but Rabbi Akiva started to laugh.
Sus colegas le preguntaron cómo podía reír frente a semejante tragedia, a lo que Rabbi Akiva respondió.
His colleagues asked how he could possibly laugh in the face of such a tragedy, to which Rabbi Akiva answered,
Hay una profecía acerca de la destrucción que relata que un zorro irrumpiría en el lugar más santo.
there's a prophecy about the destruction that says that a fox will break into the holiest of holies.
También hay otra profecía que relata que este mismo lugar será reconstruido.
There is another prophecy that says that the same place will be rebuilt.
Ahora que veo con mis propios ojos cumplirse la primera profecía,
Now that I see with my own eyes the first prophecy come true,
me río de alegría y esperanza, ya que de seguro se cumplirá la segunda profecía.
I laugh in joy and full of hope, as the second prophecy will surely come true.
So as you can see, he's hoping for the prophecy to come true. And at the end of the day, there are a few people that's on this world that are kind of waiting for the next parts of the apocalypse. And I'm just showing this right here. The only reason I'm showing this footage is that there are very, very powerful people. We're not talking about conspiracy theorists on the internet. There are very powerful people that are putting their resources, their country resources, their valuables, their energy, their intelligence, everything, their entire essence, their life purpose into accelerating prophecy. And I'm telling you, it isn't exclusive to him. I'm telling you for what I know. I can only say so much, of course. But I want to be able to leave this earth and say I've done what I could to help show us some type of truths in the world stage. And I just really, really, really want my audience just to kind of pay attention to this episode for some reasons. Just to really pay attention to this episode, because there's only so much I'm able to say. And I low-key thinking I might have already said too much on this. God willing, I haven't said too much. But you typically don't want to bring up religion like that in this type of industry. There's a reason why. People that bring up religion, they typically talk about the church on a, how I want to put this without being disrespectful, on a surface level, you know. They'll talk about how good God is and all of that being true, but it doesn't really break into occult rituals, the sacrifices that's going on, how it connects to the past, the people that were empowered in or empowered now, how that connects to religion. It's pretty surface level. It's pretty, hey, thank God for waking me up. I'm praying for anyone that isn't, you know, and it's not necessarily nothing wrong with that. But we have access. I'm telling you, us people in these industries, we have access to so much information that we could give you, the viewer, so much more. But it's very risky. Can even cost some people their lives depending on what they reveal. So we dumb down our content to stay alive. In a literal sense sometimes. So something else I want to touch on is the great fires that happen all throughout mainly the United States. It feels like the United States was reborn again in like the 1900s with these great fires. If you don't know, great fires hit almost every major city in the United States. And after the great fires, we had these major infrastructure rebuilds that replaced the former infrastructure. And if you see these beautiful buildings in America that look like they were built by actual angels and gods, and you wonder what happened? Why doesn't every building in America looks like our state capitol, etc., some of our libraries? That's because most of this was burned in a great fire and they just decided to start over. I'm showing this to say this. Eric Bledsoe claims that there will be man-made disasters that will accelerate the apocalypse. It wouldn't be the first time.
You find it just a little suspicious that all of the big cities in the 1800s seemed to burn up. Every single one. From Chicago to New York, Sacramento.
Look at all the infrastructure with the pillars. You know, with the pillars in the front. We had this beautiful Roman type architect.
Even through Canada, much of Australia. All these great fires had burned these really huge granite buildings to the ground.
History, as we know, you guys, it's a lie. I don't have to continue that to go on. History is a lie. It's been manipulated completely. Even our Constitution, you guys can look this up yourself. Don't shoot the messenger. It was based on a Native American tribe, the Iroquois. Constitution, Iroquois. It was actually based on a constitution that already existed. So history has been manipulated. The world is a stage. And Eric Bledsoe, although it sounds crazy what he's saying, I'm telling you from experience, I believe him wholeheartedly. Unfortunately, I believe him wholeheartedly. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you guys a little secret. This is going to be a year that a lot of people is going to believe it. That there are actual individuals that are crazy enough to believe that the prophecies will come true, and crazy enough to believe that they'll help accelerate it. It's a pretty interesting topic. I would like to start talking about stuff like this a little bit more, but I'm just waiting until I build up my brand more and more. Don't want to say the wrong thing, end up getting myself blackballed and get stagnant. It's very possible. So, I provide what I can. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. And, this is a little special gift for those that have been watching my content. You never know when I'm going to drop. You never know where it's going to go. You never know if I'm going to drop some insider information, etc. But this is how we do it. This is how we get it done. This is how we thrive. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And click the notification bell to stay updated. And I'll see you on the next one till we break the next narrative together. All right, narrative.